Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new episode of the Division Z podcast. My name is Jason.
And I am K Cosmic.
Today, we are joined by a special guest. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, this is KAISER Johnson. I'm excited to be here.
Welcome, Kaiser. And you guys might know Kaiser a little bit better as the voice of Oberführer Wolfram von List in Vanguard Zombies. Obviously, we talk about a lot of Call of Duty Zombies around here, so really appreciate you coming on the podcast. Really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come and chit-chat with us a little bit about what's going on.
Sure, happy to.
So for those of you, again, who don't know, he's the voice of Von List in Vanguard Zombies. So real quick, before we jump into some of the Von List-specific questions, for those of the people out there who may or might not know the process of what goes on behind the scenes, how did you, number one, get into voice acting and just acting in general? And number two, what was the process for you to actually book Von List?
So I started acting in I was in a homeschool group in Minnesota, and they were doing a play and in sixth grade, and this kid dropped out of playing the Prince and Cinderella, and some friends asked me, hey, do you think you'd have any interest in doing this? And I'd never acted before, and I was like, wow, it could be fun. So I did that and loved it, and then did more theater any chance I could. And so I did a lot of theater and the rest of junior high and high school, and then went to college and got a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in acting, and then moved out to Los Angeles. And after doing a few years of on camera acting, enough people had said, hey, have you thought about doing voiceover, because you've got a really interesting voice, and I adept at doing different accents, and I speak a number of different languages and that kind of thing. And they said, maybe that could be something that'd be a good fit for you. And so a good friend of mine, Danny Jacobs, who he does the voice of King Julian and all the Madagascar spin-off properties.
Okay.
Very cool.
When Sacha Baron Cohen isn't doing it, he's doing it. And so and he helped me put together a demo, and we sent it to a couple of different agents, and signed with probably the agent I was most excited to sign with out there, Atlas Talent. So
nice.
It worked out really well. And then, from that process, I did, a number of different video games, and auditioned for a couple of different parts in a few prior Call of Duties. And then I booked, I played, I'm getting confused. In the prior, in Cold War, I played the
Beck,
operator.
if I'm not mistaken.
Beck, yes,
right?
my gosh, thank you. Yes, Ingo Beck, and just had a blast doing that. And then and through that met Ivy Eisenberg, the casting director of much of the Call of Duty franchise, and she had me back in to read for actually both for Kraft and for Von List. And
wow. I didn't know you were also the voice of Kraft. That's awesome.
Oh, so I'm not the voice of Kraft. She had me in to read for Kraft and for Von List.
Oh,
and then
I skipped
she was like, I think Von List is a good fit for you. Let's let's hear some more stuff on that and stuff. And so I sent her some more reads of Von List, and then ended up getting cast in that, and that's been a ton of fun too. So
awesome. And I think everybody at home watching here, I think we can all agree that we would like to see more out of Von List in Vanguard Zombies. I think it's a very interesting way to take the zombie storyline for where we are right now. But for the viewers at home, can you give us a little bit of Von List if you remember some of the lines or anything?
Well, there's one that I think everybody remembers. Which is,
boy.
Kraft, it is time to bid your toy soldiers adieu.
Of course. Everybody knows that line very well. So. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like everybody knows that line very well, but we gotta get some more good, memorable Von List moments for people to really sink their teeth into, I think. So
I hope so. We I recorded when was the last new rollout of stuff that came out for, because I record sometimes. They wanted to get it done before Christmas. I think my last recording was mid-December or something like that, but they were going to release it. I don't know when was the most recent release.
About a month ago, I'd say.
So maybe that
Maledicta, whatever the map's called.
Yeah, Terra Maledicta just released, where they're in Egypt.
Okay. So yes. So yeah, we recorded some of that stuff. Yeah, a month and a half ago, or 2 months ago, I guess. And so, and I think there may be more. I don't know. I just wait for them to call, and I say, yeah, great, I'll be there. But yeah, I mean that we're starting to get into some really fun stuff in those maps and in those scenarios, and with the radio transmissions and so forth, and yeah, so we had a ton of fun in that session, just messing around and doing more stuff. So
I bet. I can only imagine that those sessions are really, really fun, which kind of leads into the next question I was going to ask as well, which what's it like just collaborating with the Zombies team over there at Treyarch, people like Craig Houston and other people behind the scenes like that. What was kind of the process with you guys over there, and what was your experience with them?
Yeah, well, so Craig is so much fun to work with, and the writers there too are they've been really, really great. Gosh, I'm losing everybody's names right now. I just we have a a 1-year-old, and he's 1 year and 2 months, and so my sleep isn't great very frequently. So we also have a 3-year-old, but she's okay now. But he was up all last night, so sometimes I have extended brain lapses here where I
that's all good. That's all good,
man.
But yeah, the head writer of the Zombies, my gosh, what is his name? Danny, maybe. But anyway, Craig and I'm gonna call him Danny. And Danny, if that's not Danny, your name, I'm so sorry, because I should know it, and I just am having an issue here. But both lots of fun to work with, and they have two totally different styles, but they work really well together. I've had some sessions where Danny has just directed me, and he's the one who's writing 95% of it, and so it's a lot of it's fun to get his direction right there. But also Craig has just such a relaxed style, the way that he directs, and we just like take breaks all the time, and he's telling stories, or about, because he's had this massive history in voiceover direction and stuff, for the last couple decades, and so he's got stories about working with everybody and all of that, and it's just a real blast to work with both of them. So yeah,
nice, very, very nice. I mean, it's really quite incredible though what comes out of those minds of those people over there. I mean, they got so much creativity to build this very crazy world that everybody cherishes and loves, and has loved for over a decade
now.
So it's really, really cool to get other people's perspectives, actually sitting down and doing the lines and in the booth with them, just getting that vision out to game format and all that kind of stuff. So on average, how many lines or how many chunks of dialogue would you do per your sessions?
Per session, we'll record for anywhere between 2 and 4 hours on an average session. And on the lighter sessions, that's been maybe 100 lines of dialogue, and then sometimes it's I think we've done upwards of 300 lines in when we've had a full 4 hours to work. And Von List is he's got more specific stuff. So when it's not like playing an operator like Beck, where you've got to get every different sound he could possibly landing after a fall, and doing this and 3 different variations of saying grenade out and stuff, and
right.
So there's less to do, but sometimes with Von List you've got these big page-long monologues and stuff where he's talking into the recorder and having conversations with chord effects and stuff like that. So it's a different process, but and sometimes we have long record sessions, but a lot of times it gives us more opportunity with something like Von List, it gives us more opportunity to play around and try different stuff, because there's not as many lines that we have to just knock out and that kind of thing.
I see. Very, very interesting. You mentioned chord effects there with your kind of symbiote bond there with him with the artifact. Have you been able to hear some of Chord Effects' lines beforehand, so you get kind of the idea of what's going on and how you respond to Chord Effects? Or have there been sessions where you're in the booth with Jason and like kind of a dual thing right there? Because I know certain productions will have multiple voice actors there all at once. Or has that not happened because of the state of the world right now? Or
I am trying to think if I've ever done another session with someone live in the room. I've done ones where there are multiple people in studio at the same time in different booths.
Okay.
So like if when you're doing Walla and stuff like that, where you're filling in like background voices and that kind of thing, and that I did I haven't done it for Vanguard, but I did do some of that for Cold War as well.
Oh, nice.
And those kind of sessions, you'll have multiple people. Before COVID, we'd be in the same room, and after COVID, we'd be across the we'd all be on Zoom at the same time and jumping in and doing that kind of thing. But I think for actual scripted characters and that kind of thing, I don't think I've ever been in the same room with someone.
Oh wow.
But like on any job. But what Craig will do is he'll put on a chord effects voice and he'll do his chord effects and and so he'll do that to kind of lead me in and we'll do a master of the scene where we go through it together, and then we'll come in and we'll do pickups on mine, but that way we've had a little bit of that dialogue feel, and it's easier to just kind of pick it up from there. So
nice. Yeah, I know Craig, you see him in certain interviews, he loves doing the voices. He loves going in and really painting that picture for you.
Yeah, it's funny to hear fun to hear him do the ladies' voices too. That's he comes in and does Furcana and stuff like that. And
oh, that's funny.
Yeah. So
that's really, really funny. So so obviously you've had your experiences with both Vanguard and on Cold War.
Yeah.
I know this might sound like, pick your favorite child here, but which of those characters do you like the most? Which of those characters kind of resonates with you the most as a voice actor?
Gosh, they've both been so much fun to play. I mean, Von List gets to do a little bit more scenery chewing than Ingo Beck does, and that is always fun to kind of just go off the handle a little bit. So that's fun in the Von List is crazier and
very
and evil, and that's fun to play. Ingo Beck, he's certainly got more personality than and not to knock any other operators, but he's got more personality than all of the other ones, and that was something in the writing they talked about early on of like, he's a demolitions expert and he's been too close to too many explosions and stuff. So like he's a little off and takes things more lightly than other people do. And so, so they're both fun to play. And it's just such a different experience. It's like saying, do you prefer, cheesecake or Hungarian goulash? And
you like both.
I like both. They serve different purposes in my life, and that's
that's fair enough. That's cool. I think a lot of people would definitely agree with the with Beck having that personality. I think a lot of people also would say that some of the other operators need more personality or whatever. This community is just a crazy community, long story short, to be totally honest with you. But man, I think what you brought to Beck was really good. I really like how that was portrayed. And of course, Von List as well. Like I keep saying, we have to see more from him. I think a lot of people in the community want to see more from him.
I would love that. So, your lips to Craig Houston's ears. So Craig Houston's ears. So yeah.
Absolutely, man. Well, yeah, so with Von List and kind of the future of that, if it's possible, if you have any other idea, or not ideas, or I guess kind of ideas, but you have any other information about what's next for Von List that you can share. I know things are very hush around there. But if there's any other kind of future information that maybe you can give a little snippet to the fans, if it's possible, what's next for Von List?
Yeah. So I don't know is the real answer. When we recorded in December, I think they were saying that they had more stuff that they had planned to do for sometime in the new year here. And it really is so much a wait and see though. For me, as because I'm kind of when it comes to when you find out about these kind of things, like the actor is just kind of the lowest on the totem pole when it comes to that. Well, I can think of, and this is not the case with Call of Duty, but with other, I've done dozens of video games, and they always are like, you can't say anything about it until it's out, but don't worry, we'll let you know when it's out. And I won't even know what the video game is most of the time. 90% of the time I won't even know what it is. And then they're always like, oh yeah, we'll tell you when it comes out so you can talk all about it and that kind of thing. And they never tell you, no one ever reaches out and is like, hey, that video game you did, it's out now, so you can talk about it. So there's still my vocal performances are floating around in video games. I don't even know I still don't know what they are. So if you hear my voice in something, tell me. But
we'll make sure to go to IMDb and credit you.
Yes. So I guess hopefully I hope that there's more, there had been rumblings of more to come in the new year, and here now we're in the new year. So I hope sometime soon we get to do more stuff with Von List.
Absolutely, because where we are right now with the whole Vanguard storyline and all that, the good guys got the Decimator shield and they got the tome page and all that kind of stuff, and with the tome page, the good guys think they found a way to separate you from Cortifex. And so the good guys are also saying, well, if Von List and Cortifex had this tome page, why didn't they separate us? And so now there's this kind of mystery about what kind of trap maybe Von List and Cortifex are kind of setting up our good guys in.
So there's definitely more story to tell.
It sure sounds like it. That sounds exciting. And you see, and that's the thing too is I only when I'm recording, I only get to hear just the bits that I'm in, and I don't get to see the rest of the script and that kind of thing, and
how
so
it all kind of comes together
exactly. Yeah, so it's exciting too. And while I like video games, I'm very bad at video games. So I have trouble getting ahead to the point where I can actually find out more of what happens in the story, and it's so. And I have a 1-year-old. So,
hey, I mean, it sounds like we got to get you into Vanguard, and we got to show you some of your voice lines.
I'm into it.
Let's do it. We gotta let's play a video game. Let's play with KAISER JOHNSON, voice of Von List. People will eat that up. I think people really eat that up. I bet they would.
Yeah.
But yeah, so. Definitely a lot of stuff coming in the future. I would really hope for Von List. and with chord effects and things like that. Obviously, we've been talking for the last 20 or so minutes about Call of Duty and Vanguard and things like that. To kind of go on a slightly different path, but staying in the same kind of vein of voice acting and just acting and things like that, what are some other projects people can hear you in besides Call of Duty?
Yeah, so let's see. There's some fun stuff upcoming that I'm not allowed to talk about yet. Yeah, so circle back with me on some of those in a little bit. But there some things that you can currently hear me in. So the Transformers War for Cybertron on Netflix. I play Ironhide on that.
Nice.
And now all 3 seasons of that are out. Let's see. There's another fun animated series that's going to be out later. That's can't talk about yet. But Paladins and Smite. I don't know if you guys are familiar with those. I do a bunch of voices in both of those games.
Nice.
Now let me look at my own IMDb to
see what you've done.
The Lost Ark. Are you guys? I don't even know what's a famous game and what's not.
I've heard of Lost Ark.
Lost Ark. I like that.
Well, how about you, Cosmic? You've heard of Lost Ark?
I'm just looking at it now.
I think that has dinosaurs in it, right?
Does
no, that's Ark. That's
just straight up Ark. Oh, okay.
Yes, I'm having a look here. That's how it looks.
Yeah, see, there are even some games that we don't really know that much about, and we're supposed to be a gaming podcast here.
I think it's like is it kind of like a League of Legends style?
I think
game,
so. Yeah, I think it's that kind of style. Yeah. So
interesting.
A group of heroes assembled to battle
to stop the bad guys.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know you've done some on-camera acting. I mean, that's where you started off with more of the on-camera stuff as well.
Yeah.
Where can people also see you on-camera?
Sure. Well, so I have done, co-starring roles on, I was in one episode of Stranger Things, season 3. So that's out. You can see that.
Cool.
I did a movie called Unplanned a few years ago. An episode of Vampire Diaries, and it was on for a wink and a nod in Sleepy Hollow. But that, back when that was on. But yeah, so, and then some more stuff upcoming on that too. And it's interesting. On Camera took a much bigger hit to during the last couple of years here than voiceover did. I did more voiceover than in the last 2 years than I'd done in the previous 4 years probably. But On Camera was much slower, and it's starting to pick up. If you're familiar with kind of
good.
How it tends to be ordinarily, there's like pilot season where they're trying out all these new shows and stuff like that. And basically in 2020 and in they cast a bunch of stuff in 2020 and then never got around to shooting it. And then in 2021, they didn't have really a pilot season. And so now here in 2022, there's some new stuff that they're doing, but a lot of it is just kind of picking up where they left off from 2020. And so, and seeing if they think that a lot of those shows that were already cast and that kind of thing, if any of those can work out. So it's interesting now to, so my wife is also an actor. Oh, and she's in Call of Duty Vanguard. She's the face of Anna Drake.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
She's the face character for for Anna Drake.
That's cool.
Yeah. And so, we read, a ton of pilots, probably, I think we read 40 pilots or something like that back in 2020. And it's fascinating to see now auditions come in and us going, oh my gosh, this is that thing we read 2 years ago,
Yeah.
Where normally, on television, you're reading something and then, the next week it's out on, or 2 weeks later it's out on TV.
Yeah.
Not so with these pilots. So, it's been kind of an interesting last couple of years with the way television has been, but yeah.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like it. I'm sure this year's pilot season has been really, really crazy. It's been a while since I've done On Camera, so it's very fascinating hearing what's going on with that side of things. Yeah, because I've been switching over to voice acting, starting to get into that back again, and I love this art, man. I mean, it's such a great thing where you get to just play otherworldly characters, and you just get to create and act, and it's just so much fun. I love this art, and but it's just really interesting to hear about pilot season and how that kind of took a hit with the on camera stuff. That's very fascinating.
Yeah, it's been a weird time. So just doing more voiceover, and then now things are just finally starting to pick up on the on camera side too. So it's it's a weird time we live in.
Oh, that's for sure.
So, yeah,
that's definitely for sure. But the other thing is too. I remember you mentioned it briefly a little bit with video games and things like that. So you said you weren't very good at video games, but I've assumed maybe you've played Vanguard or Cold War.
I think I've played both now. I think I played both. Cool. Yeah, I think I played both. So
cool.
My brother he's much better at video games than I am, and he's we were there for Christmas, and so I got to play, and we played Cold War, and I got to play as Beck, which was interesting. So
that's gotta be a cool feeling.
That's
me.
I just wish he talked more, I just love hearing myself speak, I guess.
And of course, for the because Cold War right now still has a lot of very passionate fans, even though that was the game of old, I guess you could technically say, because Vanguard is the newer one. Cold War still has a lot of very passionate fans right now. So for all the Cold War fans like Von List, can you give the fans a little bit of Beck for us?
Let me try to think of, I guess I could just talk like him. Why don't you ask me another question, and I'll just respond like Ingo Beck.
All right. Well, with the voice acting and things like that, since you're in the voice, explain how you developed that German accent. How did you find the voice for Ingo Beck?
Well, so the way I found the voice for Ingo Beck is I started with something, he's East German. And so I have some friends from East Germany. And so I started to take some things that I'd heard from there. And then also some Southern German things. And, he's got a few Austrian ticks to him as well, from his work there. So, just sort of putting that together and trying not to make it, too much like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and not too much like just, like your stereotypical Nazi either. You want something that's he's got his own feel to it, and more about just the personality of being working on things all the time, and being very methodical, and yet just a little crazy.
Yeah, I can hear that. I could definitely hear a lot of that influence there. That was great.
Thanks.
That was really good.
That was great. Accents and other things like that are very fascinating to me, that I would like to continue to develop, and languages as well. I mean, that's one of the things that I wish I took a little bit more seriously in high school was languages and trying to learn. I mean, I still remember just a little bit of high school Spanish, but that's about it. But if you, so since you were saying earlier how you know a few languages, what languages do you know?
So Spanish and German are my best languages, but nice. I also do some French and Italian, and it certainly makes doing the accents for those easier, because you can kind of go, okay, let me just jump in and find some words in the speaking that help me really key in. So I played Friedrich Nietzsche in this show called Saints and Scoundrels.
That's cool.
And he had this one line where he would say, Fräulein Dr. Schmidt, and not Schmidt, Stein, Fräulein Dr. Stein, and so that's what I used to get into Von List. If I'm ever feeling like, I'm coming out of it a little bit, I go, do you not know Fräulein Dr. Stein? And
that's cool.
And then I go, okay, that's it. Okay, so that's where he lives. And is it not true, Fräulein Tochter? And
cool.
Yeah. So and then there's so similar things, like I played there was a mobile game called Tango 5, and I played like a desperado character in that, and so that I just did a Spanish accent with that, and it was now if I'm trying to jump into it's funny to transition between accents too. So if we did something like por favor, los diamantes. So stuff like he'd be like, I do not think that is going to work. You'd better be safe now. Take a step back before someone gets hurt. And
nice.
And I've played a lot of Russians.
Nice.
So, yeah, I did a lot of Russians for Cold War, and
really?
And actually,
cool.
For Stranger Things, it was interesting. They, before, so the character I play is called Evil Russian. He ends up not being evil or a Russian, but that was interesting because they had us do, before they had even announced the what the third season was going to be about and stuff like that. I got these auditions from my agent at the time, way ahead of time, and it was like, here's these 3 scenes and do them in English with a Russian accent, and then do them in Russian. And this isn't for anything. This is just for fun. Don't tell anyone about this though. And it's like, this is not for any specific project. It's just you're just doing a bunch of stuff in Russian. So there you go. And so I was like, Russian is not one of the languages I speak. And so I just like tried to crash course Russian, and they had it all like phonetically out. So I can do an accent in Russian, okay, but the languages, it's something just totally different from anything that I've done before. So it's
I bet.
It's not a Germanic language. It's not a romantic language. Yeah, it's a totally different family of languages. So
yeah, I think people for the first time looking at Russian, it might be a little bit daunting at first to see. I mean, hey, that's a language that I think would definitely be very, very useful. I think there's a lot of big languages out there in the world, like Spanish, German, Russian, that'd just be very useful languages just for the normal world as well. So you're making me want to look into it more. You make me want to look into it more.
Well, Duolingo, it's
of course.
It's, I guess, over the last couple of weeks, there's been like a 400% increase in people learning Ukrainian. So, on Duolingo, I mean. So, I was just reading that today on Morning Brew.
Interesting. I've heard of Morning Brew. That's like one of that's an app that just kind of it filters out some of the news that you would be interested in. I think that's what it is.
It's just like it's like technology and emerging markets newsletter that just drops in your inbox, each morning.
Okay. So,
yeah.
Cool. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
So, you mentioned with, how you speak Spanish and German. Have you come across a situation like you were just saying there with Stranger Things where your agent will say, hey, I got this thing in Spanish. Would you like to audition in Spanish, or would you like to audition in German for like this German project? Have you ever had that before?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've auditioned both in Spanish and in German. I'm trying to think if I booked anything that was in a different language. I don't think I've booked anything that's in a different language, but I have. Well, actually, that's not true. No, there was some of the stuff that I did for the Walla that I did for Call of Duty Cold War, and the and I did actually German Walla on a movie called Downhill, and both of those were straight German auditions where it was just speaking German. So yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, I'll with some regularity get these Spanish auditions and German auditions. So
wow. Yeah. That's gotta be really cool, honestly.
It's fun. I mean, it's good motivation to keep in practice and that kind of thing. I just did another video game the other day where it was there's some direct German, and the writers were, for my character who is German, they were German and stuff. Okay. And so there was some we were improvising some stuff on the fly in German to go, all right, well, maybe he could say something like this that's more like authentically German than this, Americanization of it and that kind of thing. And so that's fun to get to do that too, is just kind of have some more ability to play with it and that kind of thing. So
that sounds really great. That really sounds great. I think a lot of people, just from what I've seen, right? I think a lot of people don't take into consideration the kind of, I guess, foreign market, you could call it, with different languages of voice acting, and how that could really broaden your horizons with things like that. That's very fascinating. That's actually really fascinating.
And there are. It's interesting to hear, and it's interesting, I mean, one thing. So, from a fairly young age, I was interested in different languages and accents and voices and that kind of thing. And so it's always been fascinating too, because I started to kind of train my ear to hear the subtleties in different accents and that kind of thing. And
nice.
There's still I mean, it's one of those things where then as someone who's watching performances and that kind of thing, when you see ones that are like someone doesn't have a great accent and it's like, what, why just cast someone who does, or who does. I think that with what is it? I think they're, like watching television shows or movies now. Like, I think there's maybe 2 out of, 6 British actors who've done American accents where I'm like, oh, I didn't realize that actor was British, as opposed to like they're on this, or Australian or something, or
right.
Kiwi. And well, Kiwi people don't generally try to do American accents. They're but the idea where Australians or British people, they show up and they say one thing and you're like, come on, just please, can we just play yourself as British or American, not American, British or Australian, whatever you are, if you're not going to do the accent. And look, I'm not saying that I'm so perfect at doing British accents and that kind of thing. I'm sure I'm not, but I'm at least I'm doing them in American games, so
no, I definitely get what you're saying. I think it's very important to see both sides of it too, because as it is with all actors, not only are you partaking in projects and things like that, you're also a fan, you're also a viewer, and you see what things work and what things don't work, and certain things like that can influence performance and things like that. So I definitely see where you're coming from.
Yeah, I mean, it can take you out of there, and like I said, I don't know, maybe if someone who is from Germany is playing the game and they're like, gosh, this Von List guy is just a pile of garbage, it doesn't sound real, then I apologize. I eat my own words there, but
I think that's one of the better German accents I've personally heard. Okay, in gaming. I'm sure Cosmic. What do you think about it? You got anything to add on to that?
I think the accent's good. I don't think a German person's listening to it and thinking, oh, this guy sounds not genuine at all. No, I think it sounds quite good. I do, yes.
Okay.
Well.
My seal of approval.
The seal of approval, the official Cosmic seal of approval. That's great. But with the with voice acting and with things like that, what would be one piece of advice, or just a couple bullet points? What things would you recommend for people who want to get into voice acting, people who are just starting, or even people who have been in the game for a long time that maybe they need to hear some advice or something like that? What message do you have for voice actors out there?
I mean, I would say first and foremost, get really good as an actor. I think there's, because of how voiceover acting is different in it, it's like you've got the script in front of you while you're doing it and that kind of thing. I think sometimes it can be easy to get lazy about it, or to think that there's like a lower bar to entry. And there's not. I mean, even in some ways it's a higher bar. I remember talking to a mentor of mine once, who was talking about like commercial acting, theatrical acting, and then in those, like a commercial actor, if they're in commercials, if you book 1 out of every 30 commercial auditions you are in, like that's a pretty good booking ratio. If you book one out of every 30 to 50 theatrical auditions, or on camera, TV or film, that's a pretty good booking ratio. If you book every 1 to 200 voiceover auditions you do, that's a pretty good booking ratio. So it's if anything, it's more competitive, because like a lot of on-camera acting, there's a certain amount that your look is doing the work for you, or doing some work for you. And so I think you've really got to be, you've got to be taking acting classes, or taking voiceover classes, or both. But as a voiceover actor, you're an actor, and so you need to be working on that, and honing your craft. And then I guess the second thing I would say is if you want to get into voiceover because you go, I think this could be fun and easy way to make some money. Voiceover acting is a terrible side hustle because of those those statistics there. I mean, you've got to do, when you're first starting out, 1 to 200 auditions for every single job you book, and especially when it comes to like video games. So video games don't have residuals. You don't get paid the more video games that they sell. Unlike commercials, where every time they run, you get paid again. And unlike TV shows, where if it airs again, you get paid again, and that kind of thing. Video games don't have that. And so like if you're not working, you're not making money when it comes to video games. So you're doing 200 performances to book 1 day of work. And so unless you really want to do and okay, once you start booking and you start developing a body of work and that kind of thing, then you get people who have liked working with you, and they'll call you back in, and they'll just you don't have to audition for them, you just book. And then but it's an arduous process to get started, for sure. So and so I think that you've got to really want to do it and be really focused on it to do it. And then the most important thing is being good. Steve Martin in his masterclass, he said people always have these questions about like, oh, how do you get an agent, and how do you get in a film? And he goes, shouldn't the first question be, how do you be good? And I think that's it. Is it's
a great point.
Be really good. Get acting training, voiceover training, and do it because you love it.
100%.
Do it because you love bringing characters to life. And I think Jason, you mentioned it a little bit earlier about like in so many ways, like you have an opportunity to create something out of nothing in voiceover. And you've got these really talented, skilled writers, but a lot of times like they're waiting for someone to give life to their vision, and they go, that's it. When they hear the voice and the character, and they go, that's the character. Those are the things that, and they might not have a character design yet. They might not have all these things. They might just have kind of ideas, and with your voice, you can help them figure out, what does this character look like? How do they move? What do they, what kind of facial expressions are they making? And they'll base it off of your performance, which is a fascinating thing. And so even more than, in some ways than in on-camera acting, you have this ability to collaborate with writers to create something out of nothing, which is very exciting. And the craft that writers have is so cool in what they're doing, and trusting you with that as a voiceover actor too. So do it for the love of the game.
I would 100% agree with that. I think it's very well put there with the auditions and things like that. I remember watching a while back an interview with Fred Tatasciore about how a lot of the times, it kind of, what you said kind of reminded me of what he said at the same time too, where he was talking about, I'm a professional auditioner at this point.
Yeah, right.
right?
Yeah,
And yeah,
that's the job.
yeah, like that's the job. You do a lot of auditions,
Yeah.
but you gotta, yeah, you really put a lot of that. Just you put a lot of that effort into it. You do it for the love of it, and yeah, I 100% agree with that. With yeah, I how do I explain this with voiceover? Kind of touching back to what I said earlier about otherworldly characters and otherworldly things that you wouldn't be able to see normally and like on camera, and things that I think people can really just get a lot of enjoyment from, and to really uplift people's spirits of just sending them to this other world of just, you get to go hang out in this fantasy world. You get to go hang out in this sci-fi world for a little bit, and just contributing to that it's a great feeling. Honestly, it's a great feeling to me personally, where you get to contribute, and you get to make people happy, and you get to have fun doing it too. Like it's really great. And then characters and things like that.
Well, and you're right too. That I mean, there's a largely a big difference between. I mean, there's stuff that you see in animation and in video games and stuff that. I mean, there's nothing in live action that's like that. And some of these characters who are just over the top, colorful and wild and stuff. And I think of some of just the best vocal performances out there. And you go, and then the way that the characters are made, and you go, there's nobody like this wouldn't work if you did it live action. You think I think of like Rick and Morty, or
for sure,
H. John Benjamin doing Archer, or Bob's Burgers too. And I mean, H. John Benjamin could actually probably play Bob and Bob's Burgers in live action too, but it wouldn't be quite the same. But with Archer, he had a great interview once where he's talking about, he's like, people see me and they see Aisha Tyler who plays Lana, and they go, oh wow, she's just like her, and then they look at me and they're very disappointed. and so, but yeah, I mean, you just something like Archer, like it would be so difficult to do a show like that where it's what a vocal performance, and then the animation is such that it you couldn't replicate that. So I think it's exciting, some things that you can do in voiceover that you just can't do in live action.
Yeah, 100%. Cosmic, you got anything else to add on to that?
No, I completely agree. There's some things where you need that animation style to kind of accentuate the character's voice. Like something for like SpongeBob, for example. As great as SpongeBob is, I could never picture that in like a live action. Like if you're to reinterpret it as like a person, if you get what I mean. Much better as like a cartoon, because obviously it just goes well better together.
Oh, 100%, man, 100%. And Cosmic, I'm sure you have a couple other things to say, a couple other questions as well for our good friend here.
I do, yes. Well, first of all, what do you prefer, voice acting or camera work? It might be like a hard question, right? Because they're so different. But from your experience, especially kind of how the world's been going, and maybe you've been doing a little bit more of the voice acting stuff, what do you prefer, or what do you enjoy more, if you do enjoy one more?
Well, yeah, again, they are really different beasts, even though they're both acting. I like to work, and so I like the one that I have the opportunity to do that day. And like Fred Tatasciore says, I mean, it's my job's to audition, and that's true for on camera, and that's true for voiceover. And my job is just authentically living the life of that character for the audition, and bringing life to it. And so that it's a great thing to get to do whenever I get to do it. And I got to remind myself of that sometimes, you know, when if you know, there's been a bunch of auditions and it's like, you know, both in feast or famine, there's, you know, it's easy as a human being to just be like, oh, well, here's what's tough about this right now is, oh, I've got, you know, no auditions. This is, you know, nothing to do tonight. All right, well, that's a pain. Or, oh, I've got 14 auditions due by tomorrow. That's that's a pain. Instead of just going, this is an amazing opportunity for me to, you know, if I've got auditions, then you know, I have this opportunity to bring life to a character. And if I don't, well, I get a little bit of a break and and can figure out what to do with my creative impulses and stuff like that. In other ways. So, but that's, I don't know that answered your question at all.
No, I think it does. Again, they're so kind of different, aren't they? Are they, the way where like one, you're not in front of a camera, and then one you are, in a way. And I'm guessing when you are voice acting, do you kind of do like in a way the character's movements, or not, how do I describe it? Like, let's say there's a bit of rage going on with like some of the voices, right? Would you kind of do like hand gestures, or what would be like your kind of like to get you in character in a way? I guess I'm asking.
Yeah, I mean,
can I get what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it depends kind of on the character and kind of on what we'll be doing that day. So, you know, some stuff, you know, I like maybe the character. So I did in Resident Evil, what was the 4-player? What was the one I did? What was the Resident Evil I did?
I'm not super familiar with the Resident Evil. I might not be able to help you with this one.
4-player.
Yeah, it was Resident. It was the 4 versus 1, and I played the villain in that. Oh my gosh! See, like I said, I'm.
As I see, Cosmic right is on Google there. What?
I'm trying to find it.
Evil Resistance. I was like, it's not Revolution. Okay. It's not Resurrection. Resident Evil Resistance.
Okay.
And there, it's like, you know, I'm playing this character who is, you know, sitting in a control center controlling stuff, but in the booth, you know, I was actually standing up and doing stuff. Now a lot of stuff now I record just in my own little studio at home, and so it tends to be I'll sit down a lot to do that kind of stuff. But then when it comes to doing efforts and that kind of thing, I'm, you know, working up a sweat by throwing my stuff from one side of the room to the other, and
can I give all to get you in the zone, I guess you could say.
Yeah, jumping and rolling and punching and, you know, stuff like that. And, but yeah, there's a lot of times if you can get into the body of the character, it helps you know, inform the voice, so that it's not just neck up acting. You know, because that is neck up acting is the death of performance, whether it's on camera or in voiceover, where like you can just feel it. The person's body's not committed, and so to be able to again, even if you're not standing up and moving around and doing that kind of thing, to have some life in your body to bring to that,
kind of like hand gestures in a way.
Hand gestures, moving, you know, I'll you know, put my legs in different spots and, you know, do stuff. The other day I had an audition where I was like, okay, this has got to be, there's some physical stuff going on here. So I was standing up in my booth, and I was holding just a kettlebell out in front of me to just have this strain to my performance. I was like, it's got to be, there's got to be this intense tension and stuff. And I was like, I'm not hearing it come back properly. So I got to do something to just put it in my body. And so, yeah.
Very clever. It's always good to see and hear about like all the fun little behind the scenes tricks and things like that. A lot of people don't. I think a lot of people don't realize that, or they they take it for granted. I think a lot of the times where it's like, oh, you show up, you make some funny voices, and that's it. Like, no,
there's so much more.
It's a lot more.
Yeah. There's my wife and I were both listening to this book by Sanford Meyersner, you know, who invented the Meyersner technique of acting, and he was talking about this one actor who he's like, you know, whatever it takes to get you to the right emotional state so then you can just let go and have your performance. You just do that. He said, he talked about this one actor who in, I think it was Merchant of Venice that he was doing. And he's, he has the scene where Shylock, he was playing Shylock, and where his daughter has run off and stuff. And he's, they said for the 10 minutes before the scene, there was a stage ladder in back that was, bolted into the brick wall and stuff. And he'd be back there and he'd just be pulling and pushing and shoving and trying to rattle the stage ladder for 10 minutes before he'd go on, because he just had to be at this, in emotional 10 when he walked onto stage. And so to, sometimes we have an acting coach that we're working with right now he's like, look, if you need to be at a high emotional like intensity or vulnerability at the top of a scene, grab a pillow and scream into it as loud as you can. Use your whole body to do a full body scream and stuff to just get your body engaged and ready to go, so that you can just then step into performance and be there. And so yeah, and especially with voiceover, it can be challenging because a lot of times it is like, do a line, stop, get notes, do the line again. So there's, it's hard to get ramp up to a scene, and so you've got to just figure out how you're going to do that on your own to be real in the moment there. So
I think
100%.
I think as well, I'm not really into like the voice acting scene. I'm not good at it. I've never tried it. But in a way, I guess you can maybe say that doing on-camera stuff might be easier because you have your body language to kind of tell a story as well. But when you're behind a booth, obviously your voice is the only thing that the viewer's actually getting, and obviously like the animation and that. But if you kind of get what I mean,
everybody until the end viewer will only have your voice to go off of as a performance and to see if it's good or not, and so and a lot of times, again, animators are working off of what you've done to do it. And so some, like for the Transformers one, they had a camera in the booth, and actually for Von List, we have a camera in the booth recording, so that if there's anything that can help clue the animators into, here'd be a fun thing for a bit of, here's something that Kaiser's doing, or that someone else is doing to that can inform their character, that they can incorporate that. And so so that's an aspect of it too. It is your performance is all there is to tell them everything they need to know about the character until the character is actually animated. So
for sure.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. That's very, very interesting about the camera in the booth for certain characters to really get the vibe and to get that whole thing going there. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, with a lot of voice acting, a lot of on-camera stuff, it's always a fascinating world to jump into, and it's great that we get to sit down here and talk about it. And again, thank you for coming on. This was a great episode, and I think a lot of people at home, I think the viewers at home, really got a good insight as to a little bit more of the behind the scenes and a little bit more to what kind of goes into productions like this. Because like I was saying before, I think people get the misconception of you show up, you make a little funny voices or whatever, or you show up, you say a couple lines on camera or whatever, and then that's it. People think it might be easy, but it's not. So and I think honestly that's it. Not being easy is part of the fun for me personally, where you really got to figure it out. You really got to figure out and really get into that world, and you really embody that. But yeah, awesome, really awesome information that you shared with us today. Really, really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
This was, again, super informative. Everybody in the comment section of this video, what was your favorite part of this episode of the Division Z podcast? Once again, Kaiser, it was a great time, and we gotta maybe hop into some Vanguard Zombies and show you some of what Von List is doing. I don't know if that's
you tell me when. I'll be there.
Hey, let's set it up, man. Let's set it up. But hey, once again, thank you everybody so much for watching. If you did enjoy this episode and you would like to see more, check out those links down below in the description so you stay up to date with everything that we do. And of course, Kaiser will be linked down below in the description. Check out his IMDb, follow him on Twitter, things like that, whatever y'all want to do. And do you have any other closing thoughts that you would like to share with the world before we wrap it all up today?
Gosh, I wish I had something really profound. If you made it to the end of this, and it was interesting enough hearing me say stuff, good job for you. And thanks for doing that. Yeah, so whatever you do out of love of the game, keep doing it.
Awesome. Cosmic, you have any other final thoughts?
Just thank you for coming on, my man. It was great to hear a lot of the voice acting stuff. I like it when voice actors come on, just because I'm not too kind of informed with voice acting. It's something I don't really do. So when I get to hear some behind the scenes stuff, some of the methods you use, I find it really interesting. And yes, we need to play Vanguard Zombies. You need to learn the lore. You need to learn the story. We'll carry you through the way. Listen, we'll help you, okay? We'll give you a time of day and we'll set it all up.
Perfect.
Absolutely. Well, once again, thank you everybody so much for watching. We will see you all on another episode of the Division Z podcast very soon. Peace out.
Bye, everyone.
Or I should say, auf Wiedersehen, as our good friend here would say.
Auf Wiedersehen.
All right, this time for real. Peace out.